And we are now live. So sorry about that, friends. We seem to have a technical issue with the microphone, but I'm live. It's Saturday night. I'm here. And we've got some background music this time to keep you, well, keep the things flowing, as it were. Just some entertainment, shall we say. I'm going to keep it on because I can hear the music as I go. It's quite, what's the word I'm looking for? Inspirational. So if I do lose my track of thought, I can just So, how's your week been? Mine's been rather busy, quite a few phone calls and the like. But, you know, life goes on, life finds a way, and, you know, I'm still here talking to you on a Saturday night. And, yeah. Oh dear, look at the state of my hair. You wouldn't think I washed it today, because I did. I made sure I washed it today because I knew I was coming online to talk to all of you, and you know, it just seemed, yes, you know. So let's see what happens. As I say, music playing in the background, having fun. Oh, yes. I know what I can show you. I found something today. Ooh. Nearly knocked my glass over. So, I'm really excited about Warhammer the Old World. I won't show you the models. You can see them on my Instagram. But I found my old Warhammer Army Dwarf book. I mean, I have forgotten how fun this army was. I mean, I'm dreadful at the magic phase in Warhammer. And the dwarfs. I mean, the runes they had. See, they used runes. They didn't use magic in the old world. For example, Rune of Cleaving. The wielder of this weapon adds +1 to his strength. Should be their strength now, but you know, I'm sure it will be in the re-thing. Master Rune of Steel. Attacks against the bearer of this rune with a strength greater than 5 are treated as strength 5. You know, and I used to load out my characters and anything that could have a rune. You know, runic standards. I had runic standards left, right, and centre in my army. It was absolutely heaving. But yeah, that's my Warhammer army book from when I back in the day. And sorry, I am just blown. I just love the models in this book. Obviously, it's the newer dwarf models because a lot of the ones I've got are the classic original models. You know, where they had the flat shields before they became sort of rounded shields. But yeah, looking forward to Warhammer the Old World. Excuse me, got my 2-litre drinking bottle here, so don't mind me as I have a quick got to stay hydrated, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, it's been a bit of a busy week for me. I'm just going to move this glass, because otherwise I'm going to knock it over. I don't think anyone wants to hear the sound of a falling or breaking glass, so I certainly don't want to break a glass. Frolicking, hello! Lovely to have you here, my good sir. Hope you've had a good week. I've certain, as I say, all things considered, busy. Do you know, this playlist lasts 14 hours. It's basically the same tracks on repeat, and I've managed to make it last 14 hours. Now, these live streams are going to be nowhere near 14 hours in length, but it just gives me something to work with, so there's no complete silence if I forget what I'm saying. Anywho, think, Burwash, think. Nice, yeah. I went on my vacation. I came back from my vacation about 2-3 weeks ago. I came back on the 29th of July, so that was about 2 weeks ago, and I did 2 weeks in Northumberland. Very nice. Loads of photos, lots of photos. I did show some last week, but it didn't really go according to plan. I still need to sort them out. There's a lot of misidentified photos. They're in the wrong, because I've sorted them all into folders. So there's a lot of photos that have been misidentified and misfiled, shall we say. So I need to fix that before I can do anything with them. Of course, yes. There's not many on. There will be some more on Instagram. I haven't, because I've got, in total, I took over 6,360, but I've whittled it down to about, I think it's about 1,200. I think, but because I've sorted them into separate folders, it's a bit more. It's not as easy to try and organise, or at least count. At least they're organised. So that's. Some background tracks are louder than the others, so I have to try and keep the balance. Oh yes, I take multiples and multiples. I don't just take one photo of an object. I take about 10, sometimes I take about 15, and people say to me, why do you take so many photos of objects that don't move? To which my argument is, I move. That stumps them, but it's my logic. It's how I look at it. It makes sense to me, so I stick by it. But plenty of castles. I mean, Northumberland is. Oh yeah. I mean, my entire. Memory card that I had enough for 14,000 photos. So I took across. I nearly filled up one memory card. In total, on each memory card, there was something like about 7,957 or 9,575 photos on each memory card that I could take. So I literally filled up just one memory card in those 2 weeks, and there are so many castles up in Northumberland. It's it's brilliantly ridiculous how many castles there are up there. You know, it is a photographer's dream, Northumberland. Absolute photographer's dream, because everywhere you turn, there's something to photograph. And, you know, you've got Bamburgh Castle, Dunstanburgh Castle, Alnwick Castle, Warkworth Castle. Have I missed any other castles? Edlingham Castle, Etal Castle. You can't really photograph Ford Castle because that's a privately owned property and they don't really allow photography. But there's just so many. And of course, I visited Corbridge Roman Town on Hadrian's Wall. That was the furthest myself and my parents travelled south. It really became... Yeah, we didn't do Alnwick because we realised that they were playing heavily they started playing heavily on their Harry Potter connection, and we'd already done a proper National Trust property up there called Cragside, and therefore when we discovered that Bamburgh Castle was also owned by the man who built Cragside, what's his name? I should remember it. Yes, absolutely did Holy Island, got plenty of photos of the Priory, and we did the castle. However, the castle was so crowded because it's so small inside. I'm a stickler for photos with no one in them, and I stood for about 45. I mean, I've stood for 45 minutes before to take a photo elsewhere, quite about 10 years ago, to get a photo of a steam locomotive with no one in it at the National Railway Museum in York, but that's a different story. So I stood there, and these parents were letting their toddler run rampant, and they could see I was waiting to take a photo, and I wasn't going to take it with anyone in it. No kids, I feel uncomfortable taking photos when kids are in the vicinity anyway. It's just, you know, you never. It's just a safety thing, really. I mean, I'm my Model Railway Club's official photographer, and I am very, very careful about how I take my photographs at our annual exhibition. In fact, a lot of the photographs I take are actually before the exhibition even opens, and then obviously I get some crowd shots as well. But again, that's another story. Anyway, they finally moved on, and I finally managed to get the photo that I wanted. But of course, where I was photographing was also a staircase, and it was a two-way staircase. It wasn't even a one-way staircase, so I had people going up and down it every 5 minutes, and as soon as I got my opportunity, I just clicked away. I must have taken about 20 photos of this one bit of the building, but it looks so good, you know, it really, with the sun shining on it and the blue sky behind it. It's a really deep... I'll see if I can find the photo, in fact. Let me find the photo. I'll find the photo first, and then you can see it. Finding... Here we go. Yeah, me too. I absolutely love it. And here it is. I'll open it up in my photo editing software. And then I will just turn the capture device off for a second and you can see it. There we go. So there's the photo, and you can see what I mean. I mean, it was a gorgeous sunny day, and you know, you wouldn't think that was the top of a castle, to be honest. Um, People kept coming up and down. That was the stairway that they kept coming up and down, and obviously that was where a cannon was at some point. But yeah, you know, it took me a long time to get this photo, and I'm really pleased how it came out. I mean, the sky looked so good. You know, the sun was sort of over to the right, and I don't think I could repeat this shot. I don't think I could ever repeat this photograph if I ever went back to Lindisfarne Castle. But it was such a beautiful day. I mean, not a cloud in the sky. Or if there was looks like a slight cloud there, but pretty much clear sky all the way. So, you know, just turn that back on, turn that off, and yeah. So that was one of the photos I'm most proud of from my vacation. Of course, I've got many others. Yeah, that's what caught my attention really for the photo. It didn't even look like somewhere out of. It didn't even look like something in Great Britain. To me, it in that sunlight, it made me think of the Mediterranean. And I've never been to the Mediterranean, but looking at it and how it was all built and everything looks so geometric and neat. I just knew I wanted to have it as a. Yes, I'd love to see those. Yeah, that's yeah, absolutely. But a lot of them, photos that I took will be seen as backdrops in Lord of War and Heartache. So they might be changed, they might be altered slightly because obviously, or flipped around, so they won't be their originals. But I've got basically what I've done is I've got those originals that I've just shown you, and then I've made copies exclusively for Lord of War and Heartache, so that I'm not actually making any changes to the original photos. No, never been to Canada. I'd love to visit though. I have got a social media friend who lives in Canada, so sorry, I seem to have lost signal on my computer. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, I've got a friend who lives in Canada, so eventually, perhaps go out, perhaps make my way out there one day to see them, but it won't be any time soon, sadly. I keep saying again. It's so warm today. I am so warm in here. I've got two fans. I've got my really powerful fan on to try and keep it cool. But yeah, there's going to be some new stuff coming up as well on the channel. I'm going to be making some more shorts, so expect to see some more short videos and things like that. you know, maybe a minute or so long, which I'm hoping will help the algorithm. I've got some other ideas too that might appeal to others. So, you know, watch this space. There's nothing concrete as such, but I've got a few tricks up my sleeve now with the help of someone else who messaged me to give me some tips and guidance. So, you know, thank you to them if they're watching. They know who they are. Excuse me. My mind's gone dry. I haven't done a car. Well, no, I have. Because Maximus has a West Country accent. So, you know. This is a 2-litre water bottle that my sister got me for my birthday. So, that's better. Gotta keep hydrated in this day and age. Cool. Itch. So yeah, you know, I've got a few ideas here and there, and if you're if you're with us and you want to join in the chat, please do so. This is an interactive live stream. You know, you're just as welcome to be here as everyone else. This is very inclusive, so please do not be a stranger. I'm just checking. That is fantastic to hear. I'm glad. You know, it's a great genre to work with because anything goes, and the rules for fantasy I find are much more flexible than that of sci-fi. With sci-fi, the rules are very, very rigid, whereas with fantasy genres, you can take it in any direction you want to take it in. You know, the world is your oyster. I've kind of thrown, because the thing is, with my stories, I've kind of thrown in elements of steampunk, a little bit of sci-fi, a lot of fantasy, because obviously we got vampires, dragons, no real mention of elves. We've got the forest realm people who are descendants of elves, but there are no true elves in my story. Or are there? Watch this space. Geoffrey of Trigon, for example, was supposed to be a dwarven character, but when I attempted to turn his sort of character picture into sort of dwarven scale, it didn't look right. It didn't look good. I was very unhappy with it. Not to say I won't have dwarven characters. I'd like to find a way of working them into the story somehow. There's already a few. We haven't really got any sort of what I call animaloid characters either, such as well, think Skyrim really. Think any sort of fantasy game that has animals in them. You know, human-like animals, shall we say? You know, like the lizard men in Warhammer or the beast men in Warhammer. The lizard people. I was playing Elder Scrolls earlier, and I can't remember the Khajiit, which are the cat people in Elder Scrolls, and the. Oh, I was only playing Oblivion earlier, and I can't remember what the race is called now. The lizard people in that. Never mind, it'll come to me eventually. But you know, fantasy has so much that you can do with it. You know, you can take it and make it as weird and wonderful as you want to make it, or you can just, you know, I'm following a couple of storylines at the moment, which is the vampires and the caravan. Those are the two main stories I'm following now. I've moved away from the original story. I'm not sure how I'm going. The characters that I had worked out for that, I'm going to use in other capacities. There are other ways I can use them, so they're not wasted. I have got people recording voices for those characters, and I will find another way to fit them in, which is not difficult. As I say, I can. Yeah, I mean, we've got the Dragon Lord, and the Dragon Lord and his kin are very much dragons anyway. They are literal dragons. So they technically don't kind of count as dragon people, but they're served by humans, so that's a bit of a fine line situation, because it could be that we could end up with a human dragon hybrid, which I will explore when I've worked out how to make that idea work. But I'm not against introducing other races into my story, because, you know, it's just finding the way of fitting them all in. I mean, I think it definitely can work, and it will work. And I have every confidence that I will be able to build upon them. So, you know, I've got plenty of different ways. For example, the Blood Harvest Ball. I'm looking for what they call slave servants. So I might try and voice a couple of different slave servant characters. You know, maybe a lizard-like character or a dog-like character, something like that. I haven't quite thought that one through, but I've got a few ideas in the back of my mind I want to work with, which I think will be fun to play with, shall we say. On the other side of the coin, we've got the Caravan project, which I do think is predominantly human-based. That's not to say we couldn't have non-humans sort of outside the show, as it were. We'll say humanoid-based. Let's put it that way. So, you know, anything goes. Anything goes, you know. And if people ever want to participate, you know, they can always drop me a message. You know, I will put my email address is accessible on my channel, so you can always email me to chat. What else? You know, and I'm not against. I mean, I've had people approach me and say, "Do you mind if I use an accent, or it'll be in my natural accent?" And I go, "Absolutely," and I'm absolutely happy with that, because most of my characters have accents anyway. You know, it's not the greatest of accents, but Boris has a slight sort of, how I would imagine Count Dracula to sound. You know, sort of like that voice. And of course, a number of my other characters all have tones of voice or accents anyway, so I don't have any issue with that whatsoever. And I would even accept entire, you know, contributions in entirely different languages, you know, to make it more interesting, you know, over, you know, other nations from other parts of the planet that the story is set on. I am not against that at all. You know, and of course people can do video and audio depending on their tastes. And I do encourage improvisation. I will say that I very much encourage improvisation. I can write scripts on request. I used to write scripts for everything. The only person I really write scripts for now is myself and a couple of voice acting friends that I've made in the community. So, you know, they are pretty specific in regards to having scripts to work from, but everything else is pretty much anything goes, and I'm happy for that. So, you know, if you want to collab with me, I'm here. Just drop me an email. You can message me on Instagram and Twitter. I mean, X. Oh, let's just call it Twitter because we all know what it is, really. But you can message me there. I'm not going to bow to. I'm not even paying for the verification thing. I don't believe that you should have to pay to use services that right up till now. I've been limited because I'm not verified. I have been limited to the number of messages. I can send 500 messages a day. Granted, I probably don't send that many in a day, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous that if you've got to pay to send more than 500. I'm sorry. I'm on my soapbox here. I am really annoyed by the way it's all gone. You know, I'm still on X or Twitter or whatever it's called. You know, call it whatever you want now, I guess. But I am on Threads as well. I joined Threads, and you know, I use that as another platform. But of course, because it's linked to my Instagram, I get the best of both worlds. So the only thing that you can't do with Threads is message. So it has to go through my Instagram. But you know, if you're on there and you want to work with me, you know, collaborate with me and my channel, please contact me. I have everything I have on Twitter and Instagram listed what I have available at the moment. So, you know, all are welcome. And I've also listed the closing dates. So you are very welcome, you know. And as I said, my email is in my channel information. So I'm kind of going round in circles with this, so I probably won't talk about this bit much longer. Have I missed anything? I'm just checking. Nope, I was just checking my little notes. I have made some notes. Oh. But, did I move when I was looking? The other thing I was looking for? There was something I was looking for, but I think I may have moved it somewhere else. Isn't it always the way? You want to show something to someone and you can't. Ah, one moment. Oh. So I was going through my Let us start again. Oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Oh. I'll be fine. Oh, oh, oh God. Oh, blimey. I need honey. I'm okay. So before I had a laughing fit, I was going to show you these. Now, these very precious to me. Now, when I go to Dorset, or when I've been to Dorset, I love going onto the beach at Charmouth, and the beach is known as a fossil beach. And of course, I've often come back with fossils and things like that, and even some bits of amber, and even some bits of porcelain. So I will show you some of my prized possessions. That is I'm just looking at the screen to make sure you can see it. That is a ammonite, or partial ammonite. You can see where the minerals have crystallized in part of its shell. I could chip that out, but I don't want to damage the fossil. So that's a bit of ammonite. I've got quite a bit of ammonite and a few belamites as well. That's a very worn bit of ammonite, and you can see just there a bit of ammonite as well, and there's even a tiny bit of ammonite there as well. So, you know, I always do have some luck on. Oh, this is gorgeous though. This is probably my prize. I mean, look at that. That is a gorgeous representation of an ammonite, and there's even some some faint ammonite fossil in there. This one is probably my most complete. This is literally my most complete ammonite fossil. I don't know how well. I will take photographs of these because I really do want to get them up on Instagram, but that's probably my most complete ammonite fossil. Just making sure I'm looking at the second screen so I can see, make sure I'm showing it the right way and that you can see it. Now I've got a lot of pieces that look like this, but this sort of elongated bullet-shaped, what looks like a bullet-shaped piece of rock is actually the end of a gastropod called a belemite. Now these were long, whereas the ammonite was more like a sea snail with its shell, more like a sea snail, the belemite had a long tubular body, and all that remains is the tips of its shell, basically. This is one of the tips. Now they come in different sizes. That's another piece of, I wouldn't be surprised actually if, I don't think so, but if unbroken, I don't know how well I can do this, but if unbroken, that is sort of the length they would be. So, I mean, that's from two separate fossils, but it gives you an idea of what they look like. There's also some miniature ones as well. And of course, we've also got tiny little piece of ammonite. Don't think you can see that very well, but this, and if you're just joining me, this is my fossil collection. This is fossilized wood, not as coal, but as stone. A lot of fossilized wood comes out as coal, but this is, you can see, you can't really see it very well, but you can see sort of where the, so that's very nice. That's a piece of fossilized wood, as is this. And if I turn it around, you can see the bark. You can just make out the bark. If I hold that up to the camera, no, it blurs a bit. But there's the other bit inside. As I say, I will post photos up of this. This is a piece of prehistoric coral. I'm not sure how far back it dates, because coral is very, very ancient. But you can see all the holes, and so that's a piece of ancient coral. Probably from, well, I'm not going to say where it's from, because I can't say for certain, but it could be millions and millions of years old. Probably is millions. Another piece of coral, again millions and millions of years old, but not as many holes as the previous bit, but you can tell by the shape that it was coral, as was this bit. Again though, very discoloured by sand, but again found on the beach at Charmouth in Dorset. And this is my personal favourite fossil, and I did check it, and when you look at it, you can see it is, and I believe it is to this day, an ichthyosaur tooth, because of this bit here and then this bit here in different colours. So that is an unpolished because normally when you see them in museums, they're polished and looking good, but I am certain that is the tooth of an ichthyosaur, again found at Lyme Regis. And of course, Mary Anning found the first ichthyosaur back in the 19th century, and what she found is on display, I think, at the Natural History Museum, so you can go and see it. And the shape of this fossil and the way it looks definitely looks like a tooth. And I have checked online, and I'm 99.9.9 recurring convinced it is a tooth. Then we've got various pieces of amber, which you can find all along that part of the coast. It was a Jurassic forest back in the day, so you'd find a lot of amber. So yeah, I put it up to the light and I can't see any insects, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to start Jurassic Park anytime soon. I am so sorry to disappoint you on that. What else have I got in this box of tricks? Prehistoric. Now, these are prides and joys of mine, because I found these on the beach, and the way they've been, as I found them, they've been worked. They are from flint knapping, because you don't get such a clean edge from nature. These are quite possibly Mesolithic shards from the making of a flint tool. Now, obviously, these aren't the tools themselves. I mean, this one could be a small scraper, but the way you'd hold it doesn't, to me, indicate that it would be a scraper. This one could be, but again, there's no real sort of comfortable way of holding it. So I would say these are shards from the making of a prehistoric flint tool. Because the way it's all broken, and I mean, you've got the bulb of what they call the bulb of percussion very clearly on these shards. So yeah, Mesolithic, early Stone Age, as far as I'm concerned. What else? What else? That's not very interesting. That's not very interesting. Now, these are going to be a little bit harder to see, but these are some shards of porcelain that I found on the beach. I love beach combing. If there's one thing I enjoy with doing with my parents is beach combing. So that's a little bit of blue painted porcelain that I found on the beach, same location. Probably, not sure, probably a wall tile actually, looking at the paint pattern. So I don't quite know. It doesn't seem to have any sort of curvature to it, so I don't think it's a plate or a cup or a bowl or something like that. I think it might come from a tile of some sort. This piece, which I can't make out which way up it is, but I'll hold it up that way. Again, painted, slight curvature, so could be from a plate, something like that. Can't make out what the pattern is, but it's definitely hand painted. The glaze has come off. The glaze has come off both pieces. This is a bit more worn, and this definitely looks like it came from the rim of a cup of some sort, because it is curved. So I'd say it's a cup. But there's blue patterning on it. But again, I can't make out what. There's also a blue line on the back of it, so I don't quite know. But it's curved, so I would say that's from a teacup of some sort, or a mug or something. But again, the Now this one still has still has some of its glaze on, and it has the letters F, E, and S. Again, it's curved, and I think it comes from a jar or a cup. So I'll let you have a look at that. If anyone can, again, I'll post photos of these up on Instagram at some point because I've been meaning to do that for a very long time. But if anyone knows what it means, FES, and it's in like a scroll pattern. And as I say, it's got some of its glaze still on there, but it looks like there's a little character above the E, so I don't know if it's French or Spanish. I don't think you can really see that very clearly, but there we go. Whenever you go to, I imagine this came from a jar or a bottle, just a piece of sea glass, bit of clear glass that has been worn by the sea into like a pebble. So I haven't really got much left in here. Oh, this is interesting. This is a belemite piece that has been cut in half somehow. I don't know. It was cut in half when I found it, but you can see the core inside it. I don't know how well you can see it. You can see a sort of colour striation going through the middle there. So, here's an even better one, because this is where the fossil has worn away around the core. So you can sort of see the central, that dark band going down there is the core of the fossil. I will have to do a proper video of these actually at some point and give them the due respect that they actually deserve. But, leave a comment below if you'd like to see more about them and hear a bit more about them, because I do intend to research what I've found. Let me just put them down somewhere so I don't drop them. There we go. That's okay, frolicking. Thank you for joining, and I'm still around if you find yourself wanting to pop back. So I'm here. So what have I done? I've talked a bit about the channel, shown the fossils, shown my Warhammer Fantasy book that I found. Anything you'd like to talk about out there in YouTube land? I'm here. There's music playing in the background. I've already had a laughing fit. If you want to try and make me laugh again, now's your chance. I'm just going to have a quick swig of my water. So, thinking. So yeah, I will go back to what I was saying earlier regarding my channel, because this is the perfect time for a bit of self-promotion. If you're watching this back and you want to collaborate with my channel, I've got a couple of projects going on that I welcome everyone to. I welcome accents, other languages. I will adapt and accommodate you, basically. Audio contributions welcome, video contributions welcome. I'm here to support you as the host, so don't feel you have to be alone on these projects. Drop me a message, contact me on Twitter or X or whatever it's called now. You can message me there, you can message me on Instagram, you can email me, which is on my channel. I can put it. I didn't put it earlier, but I can put it here now. There we go. That's my email address. That is for the channel. Long story as to how I came about with that one. And it's not to do with Western films at all. It's not to do with anything like True Grit or, you know, Fistful of Dollars, that sort of thing. Nothing like that at all. Sounds like a bit like a poker. Poker. Oh, there goes my chair. It is a polka. Yeah. But please, please, please do interact. Do interact in the chat. You know, this is interactive. I like to hear from you as much as I like to hear from myself. You know, help me along. You know, what do you want to talk about? You know, what do you want to discuss? Because this is as much for you as it is for me. No. Well, I think we'll keep it short and sweet this week. And in that case, I think I'm going to end the stream and wish you all a very good evening. And I will speak with you again, hopefully.